The following is an 18PR production. From deep in the heart of West Texas.
And everybody knows Studio A, or Ground Zero, is at 18PR, and everyone knows 18PR is out yonder.
It's a one-of-a-kind, worldwide transmission. Heroes and Heroines File. The Free-Range Talent File. The Unexplained Files. The Ain't Love Grand File. Michael Shawn's Campfire.
And the Free-Range Texan News Network.
A clear and present detour on the road of everyday life.
You're listening to the Free Range Texan podcast.
With our host, who's been voted the hardest working man in podcasting, Michael Shawn.
Episode 26, the Free Range Texan podcast. Our resident musicologist, Kid Manning. The guy is a legend, and he knows more about Texas area singers and songwriters. They know this guy's name, Kid Manning, from his time when he was a broadcaster in Los Angeles, California. But he is best known here in the West Texas area as one of our beloved best broadcasters. He knows so much about the music business, and Kid walked into the studio the other day and he says, "I got you one." And I said, "Who are you talking about?" This guy, Kid Manning, begins to tell me about this other guy, Jerrod Medulla. Before he got through, I was in complete agreement. After we listened to some music and I found out more and more about Jerrod Medulla, because he is a great talent and is well connected now in the music industry. And of course, it's about time our special guest today on the Free Range Talent File, he has lined us up with Jerrod Medulla. And we're looking forward to that coming up just moments from right now. Foxy the Wonder Dog, security head here at the studio. There is some news. The dogs or trainers or something over at the Canine Corps Training School here in West Texas have sent over a giant order of onion rings. And when they came in, of course, several of us here thought, oh, that's for us. But turns out there is a message that is written on this here, and it says, "These are for Foxy, the security chief at the Free Range Texan podcast here at Studio A at the 18PR studios." So here you are, Foxy. Oh my. Well, that's a big hit. And of course, we will end up at Michael Shawn's Campfire. Episode 26. Let's get ready to ride. Better than a double meat jalapeno cheeseburger. Oh, yeah, right, Foxy. With onion rings. You're listening to the Free Range Texan podcast. It's time now for another segment of the Free Range Talent File. Brought to you by 18PR, bringing a host of creative media production and public relations services to our exclusive list of clients. Maybe you could hire the A-Team. And now, here's the next segment of the Free Range Talent File. Jerrod Medulla, welcome to the Free Range Texan.
Hey,
Hey, man, appreciate you having me.
You know, I might go ahead and say that this interview is being recorded on a Friday. And, we are not only lucky to have Jerrod with us today, because I don't understand why he's not on a way to a gig somewhere, but also I've been told that he is making pizza. He is multi-talented like that.
Yeah, making pizza and writing a song and watering the flowers, and just doing whatever I can this morning till my wife gives me my next list of things to do.
You are definitely a multitasker.
Right.
We began listening to your music. You have a lead title on one of your current albums called it's Howling Wolf, isn't it?
Wolf Howl.
Wolf Howl. All right. And when I saw that, and I'm a wolf guy. We had the wolf dog for 17 years, and where she was a member of our pack and all that sort of thing. When I saw that, I thought, oh, this is going to be a song about the amazing life of wolves and pack mentality and all that. I thought, oh, what a great song. And of course, it starts out with the wolf howl, and then all of a sudden this song comes in. It's down, it's dirty, and it comes right up from underneath it. And the song is about this gal who is so hot that whenever she walks in the room, the wolves howl.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, so yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, we tried to spin it in a way. I actually wrote that with a buddy of mine by the name of Matt Boggs, who's in a great Texas regional band here called Prophets and Outlaws. And he's a great guy, awesome songwriter, and we sat around writing that tune, and we thought to ourselves, it's normally the guys that are going out and hitting on the women and doing all that stuff, but we thought to give it a twist at the end of the song, wouldn't it be cool if it was the woman that was actually going out and you just couldn't tell it at first that she was the one that was scoping out the prey kind of thing, and so if you go listen to that song, there's a cool little twist at the end. I won't give it all away, but we wanted to kind of think of it in a different kind of light, and we're super stoked about how it turned out. And man, we've got a little video, that we put together and as well.
Well, I tell you what we're going to do, since we talked about this, we're going to put that tune. We've got your latest release that we're going to play on today's podcast, but also cool. We're going to take that tune, since we've talked about it like this and given a little bit of the backstory, and we're going to put that on our blog, on the freerangetexan.net blog, as we'll be doing an article about you anyway. And one of the things that we'll feature on the blog is a chance for them to go and to hear that video and watch that on our freerangetexan.net blog. When did you start performing in front of people, so to speak? When did all that begin? Well,
I actually started off playing drums when I was in elementary school, and I had
I bet Mom and Dad loved that.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, But, what was funny is I would actually take wooden spoons from the kitchen and a bunch of pots and pans, and I would take all the pots and pans outside on the on the curb, and I would sit out there and set it up like a trap set and play. But,
Jerrod, you just had the music in you. It just had to come out.
Right. It's like, I played drums forever first, and then I didn't pick up the guitar till I was about 18 or 19 when I was in college, and I played rugby in college, and so I would sit around, and I wanted to be a songwriter, man. I went through some stuff in life that my only outlet was to start writing about it. And then I put it to music and figured out, like, man, I really enjoyed it. that's when I started setting my hopes on, like, really started getting into guys like Guy Clark, just great songwriters, and started really listening to what people had to say. And, so I moved from San Angelo to Lubbock, and had some friends. I was always too shy to get up on stage and actually perform for people.
Boy, that doesn't show now. I can't imagine you being that way, because I've watched you in your videos, and it looks like you were just born to walk on that stage.
Man, I appreciate that. I definitely love it, And there was an open mic night that night, and some friends of mine tricked me into coming up there and watching some people.
They tricked you.
They tricked me. And so I go in and I sit down with them. We're hanging out. And all of a sudden, the guy running the open mic night, and I'm talking about this place, packed. It probably capacity was 200 people. And this night, there was probably 225 people, And so all of a sudden, I hear my name being called up to the stage. And what happened was my buddies had gotten there and already had a guitar borrowed from somebody so that I could use it, and they surprised me. And so I had to go up there and play. I played 3 original songs, and all of a sudden there was a promoter of this big festival being held there in Lubbock, and he comes up to me and said, "Did you write those songs?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, that's pretty good." He said, "How would you like to play my festival?" And he pulled a flyer out of his pocket and opened it up, and he said, "How would you like to open up for these guys?" And like Jack Ingram, and there was like all these big names on there. And so I showed up weeks later, played the festival, and I didn't even own a guitar strap at the time, so I had to borrow a guitar strap from somebody. And I literally went from playing an open mic night to playing a festival, just like that.
That's the fairy tale story right there. Some people search for greatness, and others have greatness thrust upon them. And I guess that is what happened to you.
I don't know about that.
There's no way that you can comfortably respond to the things that I'm saying here. I'm aware of that.
I think about all the trials and tribulations you go through in the music business. And so sometimes I always wondered, like, if it was a bad trick that somebody played on me and sent me down that path, and then, but then, the good things happen in the music business, and then it's all worthwhile.
Now, you have moved to the Dallas area. You had some remarkable success in just the last few months. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
We recently scored our first number 1 single on radio. There's just been a lot of good happening. I've been meeting up with quite a few record labels, and we're just, things are just going really well right now. I got a phone call from Austin and didn't recognize it on my cell phone, but I recognized the 512 number, and they left a message, and come to find out it was Bill Ham. Bill Ham.
ZZ Top, yeah.
That's right, and a legend. Everybody always asks me what Bill Ham was like, and I said, take the Dos Equis guy and multiply that coolness times 20, and that's who Bill Ham was.
The Dos Equis guy multiplied by 20. That's pretty doggone cool.
That's how cool. When he stepped into the room, man, you knew you were in the presence of a legend. And so, he had talked to me, and he was discussing my sound, and was talking about it being innovative and ahead of its time. And I just couldn't even believe I was just having this conversation. So we started working with Bill and them and his team up at Lone Wolf Management there out of Austin, and man, just things kind of started snowballing. And next thing I know, I was the same band that played with me that night at the showcase, went and played with Tim McGraw that Thursday at the Carnegie Hall. There's been so many deals that have been done that were just horrible record deals. And everybody sometimes thinks, or most people think, just because it's a record deal, that means you've made it and you're good to go and all this stuff. And that's not so much the case. You hope for that kind of record deal, but a lot of record deals are more, in it to make the label money. And once you do that, they sometimes put you on a shelf.
Yeah.
That we made it through the showcase, talked to the head of A&R at a major label out of California, and they were ready to sign.
Yeah.
And got married and have a little girl and a little boy now. And man, I'm thankful for that.
You ran around with your wife for 12 years and then had a weak moment when reality set in and thought, holy crumb, I need to marry this gal. And then along come two young people that are probably the light of your life, and you can't imagine life without them. If you think it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, it's because it's like looking in a mirror here. Tell me about those kiddos. How old are they?
My daughter, Sienna Marie is her name, and that's a good family name. She is 3 years old, and then my son, his name is Michael Sonny Joseph, and he is 1.5. And
you still get hugs.
Yeah, I've heard about that. To enjoy it. I was actually talking to a guy at a store, and he said, "Man." He said, every time you get a chance, he said, you grab those little kids and you hug them tight and you soak it in. And you hold them even tighter and even longer and soak it in.
Savor it, brother. Savor it. That's right. It's not forever. Mine both have their masters now, and now I'm starting to get a hug every now and then, but it goes away for a little while, and then it comes back. Well, you've got, I understand, a brand new project that has just been released to broadcast stations throughout the southwestern United States. It features one of your new tunes called Treat Me This Way. And if you listen closer to the song, it's really more appropriate. That it's like, baby, why do you treat me this way? That's what I picked up from it, and I thought, well, I can identify with that. Will you give us a little bit of the backstory on that song? You wrote the song, right?
Yes, we wrote it, and once again, I co-wrote that with my buddy Matt Boggs, and we both have different stories of where we came from on that, and what's funny is that is the way most people interpret the song. Actually, that's the way 100% of everybody I've ever met interprets the song, and it's not written about that.
Oh, so, shoot! Give us the straight scoop then.
Well, I don't know, because I love for the listener to have in their head what they want it to be.
Well, this is a free-range Texan, though. We let freedom flow here.
Okay. All right. Well. So my brother was in the oil business here in Texas, and when it was booming a few years back, there was a time I had a bunch of buddies in the oil business. When the oil boom crashed, everybody was losing their jobs, and families were being destroyed by, not being able to take care of bills.
Tough situation.
And so,
yeah,
man, very, very tough. And so I had buddies on both sides of the fence where some were the bosses that were having to let people go, and some of my other buddies were the ones being let go. And my brother was one of the ones being let go. And there was buddies of mine telling me that they were the boss, that they were having to bring in police officers to sit there at the desk when people got called into their office.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, man. And that's where Treat Me This Way come from, was that type of situation. So true stories.
So glad you shared that. That is a great backstory for a song. We want to remind folks that on the freerangetexan.net, the Free Range Texan blog there will have what contact information that Jerrod will allow us to give. And if you're interested in his career in any way, or you want to know more about our guest, that, of course, is going to be available to you. And his music will also be be available in the Free Range Texan House of Treasures. So you can go there and check that out if you like. Jerrod, for heaven's sakes, please come back.
Man, it would be an honor. I really appreciate it. I didn't realize it's already been 30 minutes, man. Time just flew by like that. So I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, just another day slaving over the computer recorder here. Let me tell you, sir, we appreciate you so much. And now we'd like to share this with our podcast listeners. Here is Jerrod Medulla and Treat Me This Way on the Free Range Texan Podcast.
Another bad minute, bad hour, bad day. Who'd have ever thought that I'd be leaving this way? I wrecked my life, working time in Ahab. Now all the dollars in the world will never buy that bag. We keep doing that line. We keep spinning that wheel. Passing through life, searching for that bigger deal. Hey, why you gotta treat me this way? Didn't need me, why would you convince me to stay? Another bad week, a bad month, a bad year. Lord have mercy, it's cold out here. They took my kids and my wife and my weekend days, just to have security come and take me away. Now I'm towing that line, spinning my wheels, passing through life, searching for that bigger deal. You gotta treat me this way. If you didn't need me, why would you convince me to stay?
You've been listening to the Free Range Talent File. If you'd like more information about our guest, just go to our website at freerangetexan.net. Also, submissions to be interviewed on the Free Range Talent File should be sent to our website at freerangetexan.net. Digital microphone will travel. You're listening to the Free Range Texan News Network. Now, give me that James Earl Jones thing there. Close your eyes and squint. This is FRTNN. Let's try that again. Hi, this is Michael Shawn. Welcome to the Campfire. Sit a spell and get you a cup of that cowboy coffee there. Bent Fork, Arizona was normally a quiet little town, which has been in existence for a couple of decades before this story was told. It was made up of townspeople who made their living selling supplies to ranchers, miners, and the like. Bent Fork, Arizona was not a boom town filled with violence and gunfights. These people were church-going folks who respected the law. When it was learned that Benjamin P. Smith, a well-known politician, was coming to town, it was the cause for excitement. At this point, Arizona was still a territory, but the town leaders were pushing for statehood. One would think that the decent folks would all want to do what's necessary to become a state as part of that brand new United States. But you would be wrong, because there was a criminal element at that time that feared if federal lawmen moved in, their crooked enterprise would be discovered and crushed. So these crooks developed a plan to assassinate Benjamin P. Smith when he came to town. He would arrive on a stage and leave the next day on a connecting stage which would go further west in Arizona. These fellows developed a plan whereby they would be able to ride into town, gun down Mr. Smith in broad daylight in front of a large crowd, and still be able to escape unharmed. These assassins stopped the stagecoach a few miles out of town. They didn't want the money or even to harm the passengers. Instead, they stopped the coach and ordered everyone, including the driver and the shotgun rider, off the stagecoach. In a valiant attempt to defend the stage line, the shotgun rider was able to get a shot off and winged one of the outlaws. The brave young shotgun rider was then gunned down for his effort. 3 of the assassins climbed in the coach and the other sat next to the driver. His job was to make sure that the driver did nothing to draw attention to the situation. After not much longer, they made their way back into town where Benjamin Smith was waiting. As the stagecoach stopped in front of the stage office, something unexpected took place. Instead of Benjamin P. Smith, the outlaws inside the coach were met with a hail of bullets from at least 10 Pinkerton detectives. A rifle shot was fired from the roof and the shotgun rider fell from the coach to his death. The Pinkerton detectives reacted due to a warning given as the stage arrived from the agent, Peter Thomas. With a sigh of relief, the driver said, "Thank goodness. You saw something was wrong when we came in." The agent smiled, looked at the driver, and replied, "There had to be something wrong. You were sitting on the left-hand side of the coach. Everyone knows the driver sits on the right-hand side and the shotgun rider sits on the left." And that's exactly how it happened. Oh, yes, and Arizona, with the help of Benjamin P. Smith, became one of the next brand spanking new states in the United States. And that's exactly how it happened. Just another true tale at our campfire. I'm Michael Shawn. Bring some friends back, will you? Adios, my friends. Hey, y'all, we're packing up episode 26. There's always a string of people that we see as vital, those people at 18PR who make our podcast possible, and we appreciate those folks a lot. And a giant hats off and welcome for what we hope will be the first of many visits with Jerrod Medulla on the Free Range Texan podcast. And no show would be complete without thanking you, the listeners to our podcast. Those numbers keep growing, and we don't just say that. We have a thing called analytics. And when you are internet-based, as this program is, podcasting, you can see who's there around the world. Believe you me, that gets exciting. We just want to reach out and give y'all a great big old West Texas hug and tell you that we thank you so much. And tell a friend, bring them back to the campfire. Thanks to all of you who are sending in your snapshots for the Free Range Texan Listener Posse. We have a big time with that. And if you're interested in feedback on our program or submitting someone to be on our podcast, you go to freerangetexan.net, and there you get a chance to send us an email at info@freerangetexan.net. Let's go, Foxy. Get in the pickup. Take them home, sweetie pie.
Thank y'all for listening to the Free Range Texan podcast, produced at 18PR Studios out yonder in West Texas, with our host, who's been voted the hardest working man in podcasting, Michael Shawn. Feedback or submissions to our program can be submitted on our website, freerangetexan.net. That's freerangetexan.net. This is Sweetie Pie on behalf of Michael, Shawn, and the crew here in Studio A, where we're all looking forward to spending time with you on our next bi-weekly episode of the Free Range Texan podcast. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Tower, this is Free Range Texan Airways, Podcast 1, ready for takeoff.
Podcast 1, you're cleared for takeoff.
Nose up. Check wheels up.
Wheels up.
Reduce flaps. Mr. Sanders, take us to 10,000 feet. Bring us around to a course of south by southwest.
10,000 feet, south by southwest. Aye, Captain.
Engage autopilot.